What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we are going to be headed into the restricted section, which is one of the fairly newer maps in the game, but not quite as new as the Wuxing stuff. But it's a map that I've enjoyed nonetheless, and would like to get back into. There's a few strategies for this, a lot of them that are viable for survival, and some that actually work even better for sabotage. The guardians for this map should probably be something like the Friar or Priest. Freezing enemies isn't really that big a deal if you're not doing endless. So we'll go with the Friar and then a dragon. Traps on this level can get pretty diverse. There's some that work really well and some that don't. Ballista are actually pretty good. There's a lot of space to place them. You generally want about 2 wall traps though. If you don't want to deal a lot of damage yourself, then you could bring something like the wall blades. Again, here I like the Grinder Spitfire combo because you get a lot of 2 wall situations that can make use of both of them very well. So with that said, I'm going to take physical and fire discounts again. I don't recall too many fire or sapping enemies here, things that can destroy barricades that are actually dangerous. So wall building PhD isn't something that's really going to be necessary with this setup. High pain tolerance is pretty good though. And that's just to make sure that I don't die. Feeling fierce because we're going to be fighting ranged, and that's pretty much the get up. Let's go.
No soul is safe.
Indeed they aren't. So, in the beginning of this map, there's not anything super crazy that's going to happen. Generally, when you start, you want to let enemies pass in one of 2 directions. You want them to go this way, or you want them to go that way. I tend to prefer them going this way in the beginning, so I block here. Now, most of the enemies will be pathing this way. Because of that, I like to do something like this, and this on both sides.
Eternity is a trap.
Now, you can also set up grinders here, but that part really isn't super necessary.
They will come to me, and they will die.
And depending on what you want to do here, you can also slow them again as they sort of come around this corner.
How devious.
And that basically gives you your initial trap setup. It's a little slanted, but so is the stage.
The enemy has opened a minion portal.
So here we go.
They've broken through a gate!
And before you know it, we have a combo. The triggering for the Spitfire always seems a little late to me. I don't know why. Like, you'll see the enemies get hit with the fire darts, and then just a bunch of them are on fire, but not until after the darts already pass. Like, I'm guessing that's just like an issue with the servicing. That time, not so much. Maybe it has to do with like the first couple of times it fires, or like where the game thinks the orcs are. Alright, grabbing Dark Urges, which means even more jars. Boop. Good thing about seeing health potions is they're mana potions when you're playing with Oziel. And you could also put up some ballista in here, but they're really not necessary. And if you really want to be safe, you can just sort of stand back here and yeah. You guys aren't dangerous at all.
It must be destroyed.
Man, having range and damage is just so good in this game. Lightning and fire, also good combo material. Very good. Here's some souls for you. Hold on to those for me. So where'd that hit him? Just seemed to not do any damage. That was kind of sad. Oh. Oop. Oh, I missed. Alright. One more? There you go, buddy. Good game. Okay. After this wave, we're going to be looking to basically cut this short.
They will come to me.
We're going to deal the same thing, or do the same thing that we did when these guys came before. We're going to find an angle where we can swipe down this lane and just basically swing at them a few times. Now if you have ceiling traps that you want to put in here, you can feel free to do that. You can fit a couple of swinging maces or some pounders. Pretty much anything you like. I guess because of the volume of enemies, lightning rods would also be pretty decent. We'll do another one of those. Can't really hurt much. Just has the enemies continue to be grouped up. The guardian place here kind of prevents you from having full reign of floor trapping, but that's okay. Alright, jagged shards. So now our jar of pickled doom is an unholy hand grenade again. So you can pull the pin and watch him die. Alright, sitting on over 300 souls now. Last thing I want to do is shrink this area a bit. Really? Oh, bull god. Okay. Don't want them to actually get through here. The traps will be pretty good at making sure that these guys don't live very well, which is great. How did he slam after he had already slammed? That doesn't make sense. But I guess when you're Bull God, you don't have to make sense. Probably how he got the name. Alright, and we should be pretty much clear with this wave. A few more moments. Just gonna make sure these guys turn into some tasty orc barbecue. And then as soon as that happens, oh come on. Freaking archers. Always ruining everybody's fun. Alright, lastly, we want to do something like this here. Alright, that's going to have the enemy's path down that hallway that we sort of started. And we're going to block this so that they come down these stairs instead of actually going around towards the rift, because that is infinitely safer than anything that they would otherwise be doing. We're going to slow them here. And you actually have space for a couple of these buddies over here. We can do one of these two. And then as they try to come down here, we will basically pepper them with grinders. And by pepper, I pretty much mean turn them into pepper. You know, nicely ground, fresh, very full of flavor. Be wary of the occasional Cyclops mage that will come down with them. He usually hangs in the back, but when he gets to you, you will wish he had not. Okay. This area will get pretty heavily populated eventually. One thing that you can do to not have to worry about anything
An unstable rift is opening.
is place a couple of those.
You must die.
The only unstable rift location that is even slightly dangerous is the one back here, which you can place a couple of these to never have to worry about. Now that was placed a little bit too far. That's okay though. We'll move it once this is all over with. We can also place a few more traps at the bottom of the stairs for more damage. That's something that we're definitely lacking right now. Whoa. Always got to look out for stuff like that too. We are not using wall building PhD, so rebuild that. And then down here, we're just gonna add some fire and eventually a couple of slows. There we go. Now what we want to sort of do is make sure the enemies are slow coming down the stairs. I'm really not worried about these guys at all. I do not want to get caught by a bunch of Cyclops shots though. You'll see even the kobolds are sort of getting mangled now. And that's without me having to do much. Okay. We'll move you back to the proper location now. Right there is what we wanted. Grab these coins. Alright, where's the dwarf priest coming from? He's in here, I think? Oh, there he is. Alright, so now's as good a time as ever to lay on all of the damage. Every single last bit of it, buddy. There we go. I don't even think it hit the dwarf. It was just regular attacks and whatever other damage spam I was throwing out. But man, is that jar useful. Like these little hands that you see coming out of the ground, that is the after effects of the Jar of Souls. Okay, these enemies that are coming out here, what they're going to do is they're going to turn around here, come up the stairs, and go down this hallway.
They're breaking through again.
We can slow them here,
They've broken through a gate.
grinder up these walls, and do one of these. And if you had a swinging mace or something, you could place this on the ceiling as well. That will work super well. I also want to place another one of these, and we'll eventually get some more grinders stationed along the walls. And you can see me just basically eating souls like the world's largest soul buffet happening now. Now that, I think, is one that you can't just immediately set up to be automatically destroyed. Nope, I'm wrong. You can place a couple of those right up there. However, everything is now going to be, whoops, almost missed that. Coming through this hole here. Whoa. Okay. So we're almost done this area. What we really want is one of these and another grinder. You can also block this side, this particular area too, to force enemies to path back up here, where you get additional wall trap space And now they're gonna slowly start to split the lanes until I actually get everything completely murdered. But by now you should have had your traps building up to the point where you're generating some decent combos, and most of the enemies will be dying on their own. Anything that sort of paths toward the rift from the back there is something that has leaping, and it shouldn't basically take anything from the rift itself. Everything that's pathing down here is basically just automatically set to be murdered. You really don't have to come back here at all unless you just want to speed things up. Okay. So those guys, as usual, are basically going to get roasted alive. One thing that we could definitely do here is start placing some ballista now. Time is really here for it. And of course, anytime you have ballista, to maximize their damage, you're going to want to slow everything right underneath them. Need that coin, buddy. Alright, got 2 more waves to go.
A boss is on his way.
This Lysander is pretty much junk.
An unstable rift is open.
So is this rift.
Quick, destroy it.
So for the Lysander, because we have our lovely ectoplasmic boom booms, we're just going to blow everybody up.
The boss is down.
Without pretty much even targeting the boss, he's dead. And that quick, wave 13 is toast. Ectoplasmic explosion, ladies and gentlemen. Ridiculous. Okay, what do we have coming now? These guys. If they're not going to do anything but die. Pretty much like that. And of course, if you need more space for more ballista, you have it all over here. And this boss, we can of course swing at once and watch him explode as well, as most bosses in front of Oziel are wont to do. And then we just clean up the rest of the wave, hopefully before those 15 seconds expire. Boom. And there we go. It was a little tight. All right. So that was the restricted section with Oziel. Having the enemies path to a central location makes it really easy to take them out with AoE abilities. Basically, Oziel's Jar of Souls, or Desecrated Ground, as well as his Haunting Spirits with the Ectoplasmic Explosion Weaver, makes it so that you can clean everything up there at that little point extremely easily. And because of that, it's very nice to be able to have a central location to pull them all towards and then activate your abilities there. As you can see, there's a number of times where I just wiped out a huge amount of high HP enemies just with that ability alone, and you know, triggering it because you have to primary, or you have to damage the enemies that have been afflicted with the souls in some way to score the damage. But either way, it is really strong. And next we'll be moving on to the Night Market, which is one of the Wuxing maps and one that I have the least experience with. So that should be a little bit more interesting just to see how everything plays. Although I think for parring it, there's really only a couple of ways where the enemies will actually path fast enough without you just door rushing. So we'll see what's up with that, but that's going to be it for this video. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. And again, if you have any questions about this game or any others, anything that I've done or that you'd like to see me do, feel free to drop that in the comments. But yeah, until next time, as always, have a good one, folks.